Sorry, guys. I totally forgot to push the button. Anyways, so he's doing really great, but we went through a lot of trial and error first. I tried a bunch of different oil companies. I started doTERRA, I left it, and then I came back around to doTERRA because I found out that it was actually the best one. I did another one for a while that's based out of Utah, and it just wasn't the same quality. Even he told me, he's like, Mom, I don't feel like they work as well. He could tell a huge difference. So I was talking to Whitley, and I decided that I wanted to do a class on the Home Essentials kit. It's one of my favorite kits, but I wanted to break it up with how you can use all the oils for ADD and the spectrum. So this whole month, every Tuesday at 11 o'clock, I will be teaching a class, and I've broken it up. So I have a list here. So today I'm covering trouble focusing, and hyperactivity. Those are the two big things that usually parents see the first sign of when they suspect that their kids or even themselves have ADHD. Those are the big ones, and they're like the ones that are the hardest ones to almost contain because your kids are jumping off the walls, and your teachers are like, they're not focusing, they're not staying on task, they're failing everything, and you want to figure out how. Next week I'm going to cover ADHD and emotions. And then the week after that, I will do immunity and allergies. And then the last week, I'm going to talk about how the brain, the gut, and sleep are all connected and what you can do to help them sleep. My son went from never sleeping at all to where he sleeps through the night. He goes to bed at a decent hour and he sleeps through the whole night now, in his bed too, which was a huge struggle. Anyone that doesn't know, that hasn't had that struggle yet. So I have covered how to make this smaller. Okay, I'm moving you guys so I can read it. So all right. So trouble focusing. Why do we struggle with focusing? It is a huge struggle. Even if you don't have ADHD or ADD or on the spectrum, sometimes it's just really difficult to struggle. So the ADHD brain are naturally lower in dopamine and neonorepinephrine. I know I said that wrong, and I'm really sorry. I had to type it into Siri and have her say it to me this morning like 6 times. So, which controls the brain's arousal and attention levels. So, and if their brains are lower in that, then there's no way that they're even going to be able to focus on anything, let alone like if you ask them to take out the trash, they get confused. Um, Too many sounds, too many sights come through and compete for their attention, making it hard to focus on one thing. Now, I have a husband who can basically tune everything out except for what he is doing. And we can be talking to him and he's just in his own little world. Where I have my kids they listen to everything. So, my son, who is on the spectrum, his hypersensitivity is sound. So when he was tiny, 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 little, and he wasn't verbal until he was about 4.5, and I count that as tiny still, he could let me know when a fire truck, when an ambulance, when a police car, when a helicopter, when a train was coming, and we couldn't even hear it yet. He can hear things that are so far away. He can also hear something that we've had to put in his IEP at school is that he can keep one earphone in, because if he doesn't, he literally will go insane because he can hear people's stomachs digesting. He can hear like when people shift, or like if they crack their neck, he can't handle it. He's like, don't do that. It's like for him, it's really loud. So with kids, so there's a lot of times that kids that are on the ADHD spectrum, they can hear all those things. They can hear everything, they can see everything. Even light is like hard for them. So putting them in a classroom setting and having them to sit down is really difficult, is really difficult to them, which is why some children that are on those spectrums really do well with homeschooling. My child thrives off of a classroom setting where he's learning from other kids asking questions. So we don't homeschool right now, but at some point with how the world is, we might. I'm not sure yet. So they tend to feel overwhelmed by their own thoughts and their environment, um, which results in struggling to focus. So that just, some kids will keep their, or adults too, will keep their space really clean, or sometimes they thrive in clutter. I do not thrive in clutter. I have to have everything clean, but my son, he just kind of, he's right there in the middle. Like he realizes when his room is messy and he needs to clean it and he cleans his space, but he knows exactly where everything is at all times, which is interesting to me. So these are the oils that help with focus. So um, lavender helps with calming and centering, creating a better environment for focus. It's really great to inhale or to diffuse. Um, Frankincense, I actually learned this from Sydney, from Outback Sheriffs. She will drop, she talks about putting one drop under the tongue, and that it just like helps with the ADHD brain to just like reset and focus on whatever she needs to do. I tried to get my son to do that, and he looked at me like I was an insane person. He was like, I am not putting that in my mouth. He's like, let me smell it first. And I think frankincense smells great, but he's like, I'm not doing that, mom. You are literally certifiably insane. So maybe someday he will, but he will let me put oils on him. Whatever he thinks that he needs, he will do. So peppermint, lemon, and deep blue are really great for opening those airways, and just like when your sinuses are stuffed up, you have a headache. You can't think straight. But if you put one drop of peppermint, a lemon, and deep blue, and in your diffuser, inhale it, put it in a roller, it just will just like open all those airways. And then when your airways are opened, because everything's connected. So when your airways are opened, you just like your brain's open as well. So, along with the home essential kit is the diffuser, and I diffuse every day, all day long. I have my morning and day diffusing blends that I use, and then I have ones at night for when my kids are trying to wind down and calm down and homework. So I have them for all the time. Um, so essential oils have so many amazing benefits. Essential oils have very small molecules. When they are diffused into the air and you inhale them, they can swiftly make their way into your limbic system, the area of your brain that is responsible for your emotions, your memories, which makes it an easy to see why it can be so helpful for balancing emotions. They also travel through your mouth, your nose, your lungs, affecting several body systems, being able to focus and handle hyperactivity, and also connect, the hyperactivity also connects to your um, emotions. When a child or an adult is feeling overwhelmed, that sets off all of their emotions, because being overwhelmed is an emotion. So, which a lot of people don't understand. Like I didn't understand it when my kids were very young. I was just like, why are you bouncing off the walls? Why are you climbing my entertainment system? You're driving me nuts. But what's happening is their body and their nervous system and their brain is like in overdrive, and they don't know. It's more than just like terrible twos and difficult threes. It is overdrive, but then they get bigger and you don't know what to do. And then you just end up fighting with your child. Like, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? When you need to just take a step back and be like, okay, what are you feeling? What do you think you need right now? So opening airways and getting them to really listen to their bodies. Something that I've taught my kids is I will ask them when they come upstairs or they come to me and say, Mom, I don't feel good. Mom, this or that. And I say, what is your body saying that you need right now? What are you saying? What is it telling you that you need? And sometimes they're like, my nose is stuffy. So then we'll roll an allergy roller that I have on them and they'll open and they're like, okay, now I can function a little better. So another one that I do, I'll put in a small diffuser in my kitchen is peppermint and wild orange. I also have it in a roller on hand for my kids because it opens those airways and it wakes you up and it's energizing because it's citrus, which is uplifting, energizing, and peppermint is also it opens those airways. So that I put in a diffuser and I stick at the kitchen table or on the counter while they're doing their homework, and it just really helps them. I have a roller here that's an allergy blend, and I use lavender, peppermint, and lemon, and I added eucalyptus to it. And just adding the eucalyptus because the new eucalyptus that doTERRA has now is made with, I believe it's 5 different eucalyptus plants. So it is way more strong, way more potent, and works so much better. Yes, Mamie, forcing them to communicate. Yes, and with teenagers, it can be very difficult. I actually have a little story. The other night, one of the little ones was having a complete meltdown, and my second oldest, normally he can like handle it really well, but I was in the other room when it happened and he couldn't find me, so he texted me and he's like, Mom, where are you? And he's like, what is that oil called that instantly lowers my stress level? And I go, adaptive. He goes, where is it? And I was like, there's a bottle. Do you want a diffuser or do you want it? And he goes, and
He loves eating my phone.
I was like, I need to.
Anything. Keep talking. I'm listening. Anything. I like.
Well, I don't know how to do everyone.
My intention, and I think
I'm not sure who unmuted themselves. Anyway, so he put it on him, but that's the thing.
Something that is real, like racism that we experience it are so real in our country.
I have no idea.
So
it's taken advantage of.
It gets so like diminished to the intention.
I think like the top right corner will mute everyone.
Oh, the top right corner. The top.
Yeah. You know what he had earlier? Some gum that he picked.
I moved everyone, so I'm trying to figure out.
So I'm like,
sorry guys.
I'm like, should I?
I don't know how to do it. Oh, maybe they muted themselves. Okay. Anyways, crisis averted. So, and so he reached for, but if I hadn't taught my kids and like Mimi said, force them to communicate, he wouldn't have known what he actually needed. But he knows because I talk about it all the time, and adaptive is like our saving grace in this family. I take it. I take the capsules every day. I use the oils 100 times a day, I feel like some days. So it's a great one to have. It's not in this kit, but I have something at the end to tell you guys about it, and it's awesome. Let's see. Oh, so yeah, I didn't know how to mute her. So, okay. So hyperactivity, which is one that so many parents struggle with. Why do we struggle with it? Findings have shown that the prefrontal cortex and its connects may be associated with ADHD symptoms such as being distracted, forgetfulness, impulsiveness, poor planning, and then hyperactivity. So things that trigger the hyperactivity, lack of sleep is a huge one. So if you have one who usually ADHD, kids on the spectrum, autism spectrum, tend to not sleep well. So it's like head to head, like, okay, so we have all these issues, but they don't sleep well. So that's why I'll be covering it in one class because it's a huge one. Stress. So any kind of stress. And sometimes some people look at kids and they're like, what do you have to be stressed about? But if you ever talk to my son, he always feels like he has the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. Everything. He looks at a situation or he goes to school and he's like, that could go wrong, or that could go wrong, or that could go wrong. And he finds all the things that could go wrong. And he's had to learn to be like, or it could go right, or it could be totally fine. So, which he's had to do, which has been a hard lesson for him to learn because he used to be super negative about it. Also, sensitivity to foods and or
Where's mom? Look at my bum cheeks.
additives.
I know I'm choking my bum cheeks, mom.
So additives also are an issue. All those preservatives, they're fillers in foods, and they actually add to a huge thing for kids. When he was little, he was not allowed to basically ever eat candy because everything was toxic. And I made everything from scratch. I still do for the most part. I can my food, I make my own barbecue sauce. I'm not saying that I never go to the grocery store because we really like Chick-fil-A sauce. So we buy that in bulk. But I mean, we drink soda, and he's 15 with his own job now and his own bank card. So, and right on the corner of our neighborhood is a Holiday. So I can only control what I can control, but I control what I can that comes into our home and what I put on the table for my kids. So am I saying that we are not a chicken nugget, McDonald's, Burger King family? We are. We do. There's frozen chicken nuggets and taquitos in my freezer right now and Hot Pockets. But when I sit down and we eat dinner, it's usually made from scratch. And some people that's not possible, and that's okay. But I was listening to a podcast today from Just Ingredients, and I can't remember the ladies' names. But she was actually talking about food sensitivity and additives, and she was actually suggesting not to take everything away from them, but add the more nutritious food into your meals. Because with especially children, if you start taking away their chicken nuggets and their Hot Pockets and their mac and cheese, they're going to be like, fine, I just won't eat ever again. And then I'll die. And then how will you feel? Because my children have literally said that to my face. And I was just like, and what do you say to that? Okay. But but it was such a great idea, like adding the food. And then, like, instead of being like, you have to eat that, you sit there and eat it too with them, because just like their body, it's good for your body, whether you have ADHD or you're on the spectrum or you just have anxiety because you're a mom. Like, eat it with them, make it a whole. Don't be like, you have to eat that carrot. Like, this carrot tastes great, and find some fun dips for it. So help for hyperactivity. So I did a lot of research on these ones. So lemon, again, is a citrus oil, uplifting, centering, calming, energizing, and it reduces that brain fog that most people associate with adults, but kids get it too. Breathe opens those airways again. It's a respiratory blend. It's refreshing. It's really great. We use it constantly. I was reading that lavender lowers the blood pressure. I did not know that at all. I thought that was so interesting. But when you're having a hyperactive child, they feel overwhelmed and their blood pressure rises. So then that's a good one to just like, that's why it's calming, to bring them down and center them. Oregano is strengthening, calming, and centering. Frankincense improves the brain function, centering, calming. It also will increase your breathing. So if you rub it on your chest over your heart, it will regulate your heartbeat, is what I was reading. And then tea tree is centering and calming and grounding because it's an earth. It's from a tree, tea tree. So it's a grounding oil. So grounding oils are really great for anybody, but especially for those that have the hyperactivity tendencies. These two I will be covering in a different class, but Digestin and On Guard are so great for the gut issues and immunity issues, which go hand in hand with ADHD and the autism spectrum. Does anybody have any questions at all? You can unmute yourself if you do. No question. Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about this really fast. If you guys do have a question, just unmute yourself. This month, I love the promotion this month when you make your order this month, you will get I think it's a $200 order, I believe, or the 200 PV order. You will get a bottle of the digestion soft gels and a bottle of the digestion oil for free, which I absolutely love. So because those are daily oils, thanks Whitley, yes, 200 PV. They are great oils. And then Whitley was talking about this at her class last week. She is extending it to everybody because she's working towards Diamond, I believe. This month, when you do an enrollment kit through me, you will get an adaptive and the Pebble diffuser for free. You just have to send me your email if you're going to, because it's a code that I have to give to you at checkout, and then it'll pop up in your cart for free. So if anyone is watching this that hasn't enrolled yet and wants to get all this free stuff, let me know, send me a message, send me a text, and I'll make sure. This QR code, if you want to screenshot it, if you're not enrolled, will take you straight to a cart so you can check out. And I'm really glad that everyone came. Thank you. And I think that's basically everything that I have. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, then I'm gonna sign off.